All right, joining me now is Glenn Ignazio. He's a military expert and retired Air Force Special Operations Commander. Glenn, what's your understanding of the delay? Why are we seeing a delay?
Yeah, right now we're seeing a delay because what Hamas did last minute was sort of want to be much more involved with the amount of prisoners, so I won't say the amount, but who are going to be released as far as the Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. And the conflict, or at least the hard part about this is, it's like a ratio of 20 to 1. So one hostage is 20 to possibly 50 Palestinian prisoners. So over this entire 33 hostages, you're talking about 600 to 1,000 people. So they want to be more involved in that. And that was a last minute request, and it's causing some problems.
Can you flesh that out a little bit more? Because I'm not clear on why one hostage, as you mentioned, equals 20, 30, even 15 Palestinian prisoners. How did that work out?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that's been this way for some years. I mean, in November, not last year, but the year before, when we had that first ceasefire, it was, again, the same thing, 20, 30 Palestinian prisoners being released for one hostage. So it's a very unbalanced type of thing. And in the past, I mean, there's been hundreds of Palestinian prisoners that were released for one hostage that may have been taken like 5 or 6 years ago. So this has been actually normal, but it's pretty complex that they're that engaged to try to make this happen in a last minute ditch. And unfortunately, with this supposed to take action on Sunday, it's going to cause a delay. And that's what I believe is the holdup right now, and hopefully nothing else.
Okay, so what we do understand as of now is that, yes, as of Sunday, the violence will stop. That being said, Israel carried out a bombing campaign even today with casualties and fatalities. And I'm wondering why. I mean, doesn't that send the wrong message at this juncture?
Yeah, it's hard to understand on a little bit, but you got to think about is that ceasefire is supposed to happen exactly on the hour at a specific hour on Sunday. And like I said, hopefully this gets turned off and they're able to continue with the ceasefire. But unfortunately, combat operations and everything is going to continue to the last minute. Historically, in most conflicts and wars, especially World War I, that dead hour, it stopped on the hour, but it was full conflict all the way up to it. And that's exactly what's going on with Hamas and Israel and the Israelis right now. So it's full conflict until that point.
Do you have confidence that even phase one will get started on Sunday? And I know phase two might be even more difficult as far as negotiating the details for that part. Do you have confidence that both phase one and phase two will go ahead?
I feel confident phase one's going to happen. It's just when will it happen on Sunday? I mean, I think this is one of these items that they can iron out, but will they be able to do it quick enough for Sunday? I'm not sure, but I do feel positive this is going to go forward. Netanyahu's in a tough place. He's between, the idea of destroying Hamas, really their infrastructure, and the ability to get hostages home on the home front. In addition to that, you see that the new incoming President Trump is putting an incredible amount of pressure to get the American hostages home. So there's a lot going on there. So I do believe it's going to go forward. Just when. The other thing is that second stage is supposed to be talked about around the 16th day. And that's going to be quite different because it's significant. So in this first stage, as we were talking about, hostages released for Palestinian prisoners, the Israelis are going to step back from some of the populated areas to get the Palestinians back into their homes and rebuild. And a flood of aid is going to go in. That's the first. The second one is going to be much more difficult because we're talking about withdrawal completely, and then we start getting into the phases of rebuilding in stage three. So a lot to go. And remember, there's so many factions here, not just Hamas, but a majority of factions that are holding hostages, and they all have to keep their peace. Nobody can fire at each other because one attack, either from Hamas or from Israel, could trip this whole thing over. So that's going to be a hard part to keep everybody off their off the trigger.
Yeah, it's a delicate process for sure. Glenn Ignazio, sir, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Always. Thank you.